Welcome back to my channel. My name is Disha Shah and I am here to simplify personal finance for you. Just a reminder before you start watching this video, remember why you clicked on this video, learn with intention, and the highest in me recognizes the highest in you. This is the third episode in the series Mutual Funds for Beginners. In the first two episodes, we go through the documents you need in order to invest in mutual funds, and the second one covers what are mutual funds and the different types. So if you haven't checked them out, I highly recommend you go check them out. I will leave the link in the description box or on the eye on the right corner of your screen. In today's video, we will go through all the elements that are displayed in a mutual fund page when you look at a mutual fund, and they can appear very, very complicated and intimidating. But I promise you, if you go through this video, I break down each of those elements. So next time when you're reading mutual fund, in fact, I encourage you to pull up a mutual fund screen and kind of search for these elements that I talk about. And I break them down. When they're broken down, they are not that complicated and easy to understand. And as a beginner, all the information you need in order to read a mutual fund page, I have given here. So I hope it really helps you in terms of making your investment. I promise you it is not that complicated. It is easy. We can do this together. And if you have any questions, I'm always available to answer them on my Instagram page or on the comments down below. So feel free to reach out. I make all my investments on an app that is safe and secure. There are many other apps that you can invest in, but the app that I use, the link for that will be in the description box.
It's a referral link. It's a referral link.
I hope you can support me and use that link to kind of download the app. It's not sponsored at all. It's just a
referral link.
I can't say referral, can I? I said it right that time, but well. In the previous video, we learned that an asset management company hires a professional to invest the capital that is collected from common investors like you and me to invest in a mutual fund. For these services, management fees, operating costs, for all this, the fund house or an asset management company charges an annual fee. This annual fee is called an expense ratio. An expense ratio is a predefined percentage, which is a small amount of your total investment value. Under Section 52 of the SBI Mutual Funds Regulations, asset management companies are allowed to charge a maximum of 2.5% of expense ratio. They cannot charge you more than this. The value of an expense ratio depends upon the size of the mutual fund. The second thing that we look at is asset under management, AUM, or fund size. These two are connected because value of an expense ratio depends upon the size of the fund in question, which means if your fund size or your asset under management is a small pool, that is the total capital that is collected from everyone like you and me who's investing in that fund is a small size, then the expense ratio is higher because a larger amount or a larger percentage is allotted to the fund manager who's operating it. Because when you have lesser resources, a lot more strategy goes into deciding where the money should go because you don't have flexibility of a big capital. In case of large cap mutual funds, you will realize that the expense ratio is mostly charged is much lesser compared to a fund that has a smaller AUM or a fund size. So if you notice, expense ratio has an inverse relationship with the fund size. So lower the fund size, more the expense ratio, higher the fund size, smaller the expense ratio. On a general note, the mutual fund performance functions independently of what the fund size or the AUM is. But if you do want to look at the AUM to understand or get more insights while making an investment, then it depends on which type of mutual fund you're investing in. So we will see the AUM insights for equity mutual funds, debt mutual funds, small or mid-cap mutual funds, and large cap mutual funds. While looking at equity mutual funds, why am I messing up words? While looking at equity mutual funds, the AUM or the fund size does not matter. What matters is how the fund has been performing in the past and what its growth strategies are. But if you're investing in debt mutual funds, then they highly rely on the size of the fund or your AUM while distributing their returns or dividends to investors. A higher AUM can also mean a lower expense ratio. So while looking at debt mutual funds, definitely consider looking at the size of the fund. The impact of a large AUM or a fund size can have a drastic impact on small cap or mid cap companies. Small cap companies invest in companies that have potential for higher growth, which means the liquidity in small cap companies is very less. So if the fund size starts increasing, it means that the fund house has a major shareholding in the company. When you have that major shareholding in the company, there are restrictions to how fast you can sell or how much more you can buy. So this restricts the investors who's making these investing decisions for you. So if he wants to exit a fund or if he wants to change strategy, it doesn't help him give too much weight to navigate through the fund. When investing in a mid-cap company, an AUM does not play much of a larger role because it can accommodate a growing AUM, but it's still good to keep it in check. The overall conclusion for an asset under management or a fund size is that it reflects the overall market capitalization of the fund, but there are other things to consider while making an investment. Fund manager is an expert who drives the mutual funds and generates good and consistent returns despite the market fluctuations. As a beginner, if you don't want to delve into who the fund manager is, what their history is, then that's completely okay. But a small tip while looking at the fund manager, it is always preferred if the fund manager has been managing that fund for at least 3 years or more. So in the fund manager section, they will give you the name of the fund manager, his qualifications, and from when they've been managing it. So if you're investing in 2020 and they've been managing the fund from 2017 or before that, it is always preferred. NAV is the net asset value. This is the cost of a single unit of a mutual fund. A mutual fund is basically a basket of assets. So NAV is calculated by taking the total asset value minus the liabilities divided by the outstanding or the total outstanding units. This is what gives you the price of an NAV. The price of an NAV or the net asset value is calculated at the end of each day by different fund houses. You can look at the history of the net asset value and see if the fund has done well in the past through the fluctuations or if it's dropped. And if it's consistently grown, it shows that the performance of the fund has been doing well consistently. The net asset value informs you how many units of the fund you will get for the amount you're investing. So if you're investing 2,000 rupees and the net asset value of the fund is 10 rupees, so you take the 2,000 divided by 10 and you get 200 shares. NAV is simply an indicator of the fund's performance for a given day. So today if it was 22 and tomorrow it's 25, you clearly know that the fund has generated more returns, and which is why the price is increased. And if it's gone down, then you know that your fund is not done well. So on a day-to-day basis, you can check. And in the beginning, I think when I was investing, I used to be really obsessed with checking the value every single day. But it doesn't matter if you're in the game for the long term and you're doing long-term investments. But you always get curious when you're making your first investment. So don't get bogged down if you enter into a fund when the price is 20 and then in a week it falls to say 16 or like 18. It will pick up, it will drop. It's the general fluctuations that happen. But stay invested for at least 2 to 3 years and 5 years and 10 years, depending on your fund. And when you're selling is when it matters what the NAV is, because you will be selling it at that price. So only when you decide to sell, so say I have bought it for 10 rupees and when I want to sell it's 15, then I know I have clearly generated a return. But if I am selling it at 8 rupees, at the net asset value is 8 rupees when I want to sell it, then clearly I'm making a loss. But apart from this, the NAV does not tell you how well a fund is doing just because of the cost of the NAV. So just because the fund costs 100 rupees doesn't mean it's going to be doing well, and just because the fund costs 16 rupees doesn't mean it's going to be doing badly. The next one is exit load. Exit load is the fee that you are charged while exiting a mutual fund, which is redeeming your returns or just pulling your investment out. Now, this fee is charged by asset management companies to discourage investors from pulling out before the lock-in time period. Exit load in mutual funds is generally a percentage of the net asset value. For instance, let's take an example. You choose to sell 1 unit of your mutual fund before 12 months, within 6 months. This is when an exit fee is charged. So say your mutual fund costs 40 rupees, the net asset value is 40 rupees, and your exit load is 2% off that, which is 0.8% minus from 40 rupees. So you will be credited 39.20 rupees back to your account. So in the small scale, we saw that it is coming close to 0.8 rupees, but when you're choosing to sell a large number of units, say 1,000 units or 2,000 units before the 12 months period, and you're charged 2% on it, it can result to a lot. So it is always safe to look at the exit load and try to enter funds where the exit load is as minimum, or even better, they don't charge an exit load. Next one is the ratings. Now, if you notice, there is a rating space which says that the fund is rated 3-star, 2-star, 5-star, and I often wondered, depending on what these star ratings are. And I realized that the star rating is a beginner's best friend because it's the easiest way for an investor to evaluate the top mutual funds in the market. Companies like Morningstar India and many more take up the heavy lifting job of actually evaluating these mutual funds based on quantitative and qualitative basis. Some of the examples for quantitative basis is liquidity of the mutual funds, the past performance of the mutual funds, the risk that they take. Some of the examples of qualitative skills is the fund house reputation, fund managers, track record and background, and many things. So basically, there is an expert sitting there and looking at your whole fund, seeing the profile concentration and giving it a star rating based on these many qualities. So even if you don't understand or can't spend too much time, I would advise to spend time and look at everything. A star rating is a quick way to evaluate if it's a good fund or not. This of course has to be checked in terms of time and at what point in time the rating was given. But a star rating is a great way to evaluate if a fund is a top performing mutual fund or not. Well done, congratulations, you're at the end of this video. If you have been sincere and watched all 3 videos, then we are only 1 or 2 steps away from making your first mutual fund investment. So I'm very excited and pumped. If you didn't understand any of the terminologies that were used in this video, it is probably because you haven't seen the first 2 videos. So I encourage you to go watch them if you haven't, and subscribe to my channel. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments down below about your mutual funds experience, any questions you have, or ideas for next series that I can do, or anything. I love talking to you guys and knowing what you think about personal finance and your thoughts on it. Don't forget to click on the bell icon so you're notified every time I post a video, and can watch it as soon as it's released.